Hello everyone, so today I'm going to review my Commander Class 2-pack Hook and Long Haul of the Constructicons. So these are the figures before your eyes. They look pretty awesome, nice shade of green, nice purple. At least for me, I like the shade of green. I'm very fond of this shade of green, in all honesty. So let's start off with Hook. Here's a close-up of Hook. If I remember my file card right, back when I was a kid, he was the surgeon of the group. I had this guy as a G2, an orange G2 version, so I really remember him being a surgeon. And his strength was a 9, if I'm not mistaken. But let's take a look at his articulation. His head's on a ball socket, so you could turn it all around and sort of tilt it. You can flip these over to get his arm to extend. He's got these bicep cuts, so you could turn it from the bicep, a double jointed elbow, so you could really get that curl going on. A little bit impeded by the wheel. His fists can sort of flick can flick up and down, but it's more for the transformation. So he's got these little holes to hold his weaponry or accessories. He has no waist articulation, but you could split him on the there. He can do the splits. He also has got a thigh cut, so you could turn his thigh all around. Single jointed knee. His feet can tilt, so he's got a nice ankle tilt over there, so you could get him in some of those poses where he's stretched, but his feet are solidly planted on the ground. So that's pretty much the posability of Hook. Let's get over to Long Haul. So Long Haul looks a lot leaner in the cartoon, but I guess, in most of his toys, he looks kind of dumpy. Oh, well, no pun intended. He is a dump truck, but yeah, he's pretty chunky over here. So let's see his articulation. His head can sort of go up and down and can sort of turn around, but yeah, you can turn that head all around. You could spread his arms. They could twist all around as well. He's got a ball and socket elbow, so you could get them to fold in this much and they can turn around as well. His hands can also go in and out, which is for the transformation. He's got no waist articulation, but you could kick out his legs. Oh, incidentally, you could do the same with Hook. Yeah, so back to Long Haul. Thigh cut, so you can turn them all around. He's got this knee joint, and he's also got his ankles, so you could also firmly plant his feet on the ground on certain poses. That's pretty cool. He's got his heel over here. This is for the transformation as well. So that's pretty much the articulation of these two. And yeah, he's pretty beefy. All the Long Hauls, I think, are pretty beefy in general because of his alt mode being such a big dump truck and the fact that he's Devastator's body. But he is at least not as big as the Combiner Wars one, which was huge. So at least he's more or less the same height as the rest of his brethren. So let's get the other Constructicons I have here for scale. We've got the Shovel Vehicles. We got Bone Crusher, who's a little bit shorter, and Scrapper, who is also a little bit shorter. So Hook and Long Haul are taller than Scrapper and Bone Crusher, just a little bit, but they look good all together. Alright, so next up, I'll show you guys how to transform these two. So let's put aside Long Haul. I'll start off with Hook. Here's Hook. Let's take away his little pistol. So to transform Hook, I start off by lifting up his shoulder panels. I detach his backpack and lift it up. Sort of position his elbows, position his shoulders, just flip them upwards. And I'm going to work on the bottom. Let's put this aside first. So you flip down his feet, which detach. Just attach them over there. You could already connect the halves of his cab, and they sort of take it out and flip it in, like so. So once you get it folded up, right like that, just maneuver it into this position. Kind of looks like he's kneeling. You could now tab his arms in. So if you notice here, there are some tabs, there are some holes. All you gotta do is line them up, connect them, and there's a final tab by his wrist, which goes onto his foot. So you just gotta work your way, work it so it all tabs together. Do it on the other side. And once it fits, that's almost it. You can now tab this top part of his crane onto these. There are holes underneath his crane that you could tab, that you could put into these tabs on his arms. Close this up, put it there, and now you got long haul. Oh, and now you got Hook in his crane mode. So here's Hook, not bad, looks pretty good. He rolls pretty well. So it's pretty easy to transform and looks pretty good in alt mode. Looks good as a crane. So next up is long haul. So I'm gonna put away his gun first. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, well, his knees, kind of snap his knees into place. Unsnap his thighs, because you're gonna need that to fold into itself later. So unsnap both his thighs. Make sure his knees are snapped to form, this is sort of the bed of his dump truck mode where he loads stuff. Then what you want to do is you detached his top half, unsnap it, fold down the hood, tuck his head in, close the hood, and as you can see, you can more or less see the makings of his dump truck mode already. This back part is actually his fold this one up and over. That's part of the bed of the dump truck. Then his heels, you fold them in. As you can see, you could connect the two halves of his legs. And earlier we unsnapped his thighs. You see his thighs sort of peg in here to lock when he's in robot mode, but this part folds up to form his dump truck bed. And as you can see, there are also tabs. There are tabs back here and holes under his feet or under his heels that you folded up. And you just gotta line them up and snap them into place. Like so. Now is the arms. You just gotta maneuver his arms like so. Sort of twist it, maneuver it in so that you got his wheels oriented this way. And then you detach this part. And you maneuver it in such a way that it kind of forms the underside of the dump truck. Over there. Do the same thing to his other arm. Just collapse it in. Detach. And, you know, fold up his hands, of course, and maneuver it. And if you notice, there are some tabs. But it just gets in there pretty nicely. And that's pretty much it. Just gotta clean it up, make sure everything tabs into place, and you got long haul in his dump truck mode. And he looks pretty cool as a dump truck. It rolls pretty well. I just wish this was more hollow, because, you know, so you could load stuff into him, because it's pretty thick. But, you know, that's my only gripe about it. But if it was hollow, it would look cool, because it would look like it really load things into him. But he rolls pretty well, and that's long haul in this dump truck mode, his alt mode. So here's a long haul and Hook in vehicle mode. It's a front view. Let's start off with long haul. Top view. Sorry about that. Top view, side view, the underside, the rear. Pretty good. These are his forearms, by the way, and yeah, they do tab. This tabs into this. So that is long haul up close. This is hook. You've got the side view, front view, this side, rear, top view, the bottom view, where his little robot head's over there. This is actually Devastator's head, this box over here. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is transform Devastator's lower body, or his body. So I'm going to detach long haul, and we're going to go for this piece over here. So let's detach these parts. If this looks familiar, this is the iconic chest piece of Devastator. It's the just gotta connect the wings into this little part. This is his chest, and I remember it before, you know, I think in the G1 and G2 toys, this used to come with Scrapper, and Scrapper would become a flying payloader. So yeah, but this time it comes with long haul and this hitch. So yeah, so you connect this. These are Devastator's fists. As you can see, you know, his forearms and fists. You can unfold his fists over there, and that's it. That's Devastator's hands. And the gun, the rifle that comes with Scrapper, you could put them over here, and that's pretty awesome. You got Devastator holding his iconic giant rifle. So we put this part away first, and let's concentrate on this. This is Devastator's pelvis. So the first thing I want to do is just to show you the orientation. This is actually how it's supposed to be in pelvis mode. This is Devastator's crotch, and he's kind of like a guy sitting down. So what I want to do is you just unfold the bottom part, and you fold it into it. So you kind of fold it up like an accordion, like so. It's got tabs and holes, so you could just fold it up like an accordion and position it this way. And after that, you untab the skirts, and that's pretty much Devastator sitting down. And once it's heavily ratcheted, but you kind of get the idea of what this hitch really is. It's Devastator's lower body, his thighs and pelvis. And this is a connector, so you just lift these two pieces here and snap them together. And that's a connector that we're going to use later on. So that's pretty much Devastator's lower body. So that entire hitch is his pelvis. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to transform his abs and his chest area, which is comprised of long haul. So you just got to disconnect this part over there. What you want to do is you just turn it down, yeah, because it's pretty much going to connect this way. So the dump truck part's going to be on the back. That's his backpack. But first, just gotta untab his forearms, like so. Just untab it. And if you notice, there are some tabs underneath. So what's going to happen is you're going to position it in such a way Alright, so how this thing works is this part is eventually going to tab to this part. So that you kind of get the orientation of what you're doing. This tab goes into here. And if you look over here in the rear, there's another tab. You got to maneuver it in such a way that this part over here is going to tab into this. So once you twist it in such a way, once you maneuver it that way, you kind of turn it around, you just got to make sure that one fold this and that tabs. That's more or less how you get that arm. That's how you get that arm going. Once you tab that part, the next thing is to maneuver this to tab into this. So that's sort of my guide on how to get that arm transformed. So once again, you just gotta remember that this one's gonna end up tabbing to this, and this one is gonna end up tabbing to this. So once you sort of maneuver it, do the right twisting and folding, you got that part down. And that's more or less how you, and that's pretty much how you do his shoulders. So the next thing you want to do is you unfold the top part, his cab, fold it in on itself like this, and then you could unfold his heels. And just remember that this is going to fold to form his back, and this is going to tab into these slots. So that's more or less it. And you more or less have his torso, which is pretty much a dump truck that's sort of kneeling. That's the best I can describe it. And now that you have this lower pelvis, this connects into this part here where you see Long Haul's face. So you just gotta work it and slide it there. There you go. It's a pretty nice snug fit, but it's pretty secure. And now you more or less have Devastator's torso. So this is pretty much his pelvis, this is his abs and his lower chest. And yeah, and that's his back. He's got his dump truck backpack over there. So now that we've got Devastator's body, we're gonna do now Hook, who's gonna be his upper chest and head and shoulders. So let's get to transforming Hook. So what you want to do with Hook is you just gotta untab his hands, lift this part. You gotta move. You gotta move this crane piece. Yeah, it slides around. So from the center position, you slide it to the left. And oh yeah, before you split them in half, be sure that these are untabbed. These little gray panels, be sure that they are untabbed. As you can see, they tab into this part over here. So be sure those are untabbed before you split them in half. You can actually work your way to extending the halves. Yeah, you could extend the halves, detach that top part over there to help you slowly extend the halves, because these things are sort of on double joints. And once you extend the halves, you could lower this part back, you could tab this part back, and you're left with this. And if you guys remember the cartoon, Devastator's shoulder is comprised of the two halves of his crane, the rear and the front, which fold into each other. So you just gotta work that over there. That's more or less it. Once it connects, you have it connected over there. So there he is. He's sort of bent. You pull this part out because that's a connector. You fold up his hands. You could fold this part back here, and you unfold his head. And if you notice, there are some tabs, there are some slots that go right over there, and you got Devastator. Oh, let's just make sure that this thing is extended all the way to this side. This crane is all the way to this side. Turn his head, and there's Devastator. His face looks like it's smashed in, but it unfolds. Just open it, unfold it, and there it is. His head is hollow because it sort of folds into itself. Kind of looks like his face got pounded in, but you just do that, and his head is now out. That's pretty much Devastator. You flip this, you got his connectors for his arms. Likewise with this, you could just use your fingernail to extract that, and those are his connectors. That's the top view. This is detachable, by the way, but you know, I'll keep it in. And there it is. Swivels around too, by the way. That really looks awesome in vehicle mode. So there, that's Devastator's top side. So if you notice, he connects. There are a lot of pegs that connect the places over here, connection points. So this one connects here. This part connects to this hole on the cab of Long Haul. This part connects to one of the holes of one of his Hook's feet. So, and these tabs connected to these holes. So you just gotta line it up and put it in. Snaps into place in some parts. Just gotta guide all the tabs into the right slots, like so. You know, just work it in there, and it's in. And now you've got Devastator's torso, his entire torso, and he's pretty big. So there he is. Now this piece over there has a bunch of tabs as well. So you could tab this into his chest. So here's Devastator. So how you connect this piece is it kind of clamps into Long Haul's carburetor or hood. Clamps onto there. Once it's clamped on, these two slots these pegs fit into this slot. So you close it up, and there it is. And that is Devastator's iconic. Let's get it into frame. That's Devastator's iconic chest piece, which reminds me a lot of the pterodactyl when it forms into Megazord's chest as well. You know, it pretty much covers up the hollow part. So this is Devastator's torso. That's pretty awesome. So as you can see, he's quite big. I reckon he's around 8 inches. So you can imagine how big this guy will be once he gets his other parts. So that's pretty much how you transform Devastator's Commander class parts. Long Haul, hook, and the hitch that Long Haul is towing or hauling forms into Devastator's entire upper and lower torso and head. So it's just a matter of connecting Bone Crusher, Scavenger, Mixmaster, and Scrapper to form his limbs. But this is pretty much it. This is the bulk of Devastator, and he looks pretty awesome. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the payloader halves connect to slots, tabs. Connect that, and there it is. So yeah, that's pretty much Devastator's entire body, his torso. So the Commander class hook, Long Haul, and the hitch form a bulk of Devastator, which is his body. All we need now are the limbs. Here we got the box. It's a Commander class, but there are 2 of them inside. Hook and Long Haul. That's the front of the box with some great box art. That's some pretty good box art of the 2 Constructicons who form Devastator's body. Got them here on vehicle mode, Transformers Studio Series. And this side we got a nice artwork of Devastator. On top, Takara Tomy, Constructicon Hook and Long Haul. That's the bottom. And last but not least, the back of the box. We got a nice artwork. We got nice artwork there going on of the of Devastator taking on the Dinobots from the 1986 movie. There's Devastator doing a kind of looks like a power bomb on. Looks like a power bomb to me, but I think it's actually like a press slam. He's pressing sludge right about, you know, before he gets gored by slag. There we go. Long Haul and Hook combined with other Constructicons to form Devastator. There's some nice artwork of the 2. We got Hook there in robot form, and on his crane alt mode you can swivel the crane and extend it. And you got Long Haul with his trailer, which is basically the lower body of Devastator. That's the box. So my thoughts on these 2 are they're great figures. They're better proportioned than the Combiner Wars. where in that version Long Haul was really like huge and really chunky. Long Haul here is still chunky, but at least he's more or less the same height as his brethren. So what I like about, well, Hook's a character pretty close to my heart, because when I was a kid, the very first Constructicon I got was an orange G2 Hook. So if I remember right, he was my first Constructicon, and I was so looking forward to completing a Devastator when I was a kid. But sadly, I wasn't able to complete Devastator. I only had 3 parts. I had a G2 Bone Crusher, a G2 Mixmaster, and the first one I got, of course, was a G2 Hook. But sadly, I was never able to complete Devastator. So this is pretty awesome that I'm able to get these Hasbro Devastator components. And I just need 2 more pieces to finally complete Devastator. So I remember Hook. Hook's the sort of the arrogant one of the group. I think he's the second in command or co-captain with Scrapper of the Constructicons. And I remember an episode where he cut up Optimus Prime with a laser. And he's generally arrogant, boasting about his precision. Because I think in the old G2 card, he was a surgeon. So I reckon he's like Ratchet, but, you know, more arrogant. An arrogant surgeon, maybe like Doctor Strange. Or, nah, not really, but, you know. I was just thinking out loud there, but yeah, he's sort of an arrogant surgeon of the group. And Long Haul, what I remember about him is in several episodes, or was it several or 2 episodes, he was kind of groaning and complaining that all he ever does is haul things around, which is his primary function. But I reckon he's like a hardworking guy that wants to see more action, other than being more the sort of for logistics. You know, he seems to be the logistical guy. Carries around equipment. But yeah, I remember them from my childhood, and it's pretty cool to have them now, and these are pretty good figures. So overall, they look good. And here they are with Scrapper. Let's kind of get them in a good, nice, tight shot. They're a little bit taller than Scrapper. And here he is, of course, with Bone Crusher. Personally, Bone Crusher, let's put Bone Crusher over here. Bone Crusher is my favorite of the Constructicons. This toy is not necessarily my favorite representation of him, but the character itself is my favorite Constructicon. There's just something awesome about him being a tracked bulldozer vehicle. So here they are. So I can't wait to get the last 2 Constructicons and form Devastator, but I'm really pleased with them. They got, at least for me, these are great renditions of the animated series Constructicons. So see you guys next time.